Good afternoon, class. Today we are starting our discussion on the law on contracts. We will discuss chapter 1, the general provisions. Remember, class, a contract is defined under 1305. This is not actually a new concept, class. When we studied the sources of obligations, we already studied yung contracts, at least the definition and some other concepts pagdating sa contract. So, hindi ito bago. We already learned that a contract is but one source of obligation. So, anyway, a contract is defined as a meeting of minds between two persons whereby one binds himself with respect to the other to give something or to render a service. So, obviously, meeting of minds between two persons. So, itong si A pumayag sa contract, itong si B pumayag sa contract. So kung nagkaroon ng meeting of minds of A and B with respect to the object of the contract and also the cost for the contract, remember that there is a consent given. So yun ang tanda natin. Meeting of minds will lead to consent. Now also remember that one of the parties will bind himself to give something as in a real obligation and also to render a service as in a personal obligation. Now, please take note of the differences between an obligation and a contract. Mas malawak ang scope ng obligation. So, remember, in case of contracts, there is always an obligation. So, pagka may contract ka, merong obligation. Kasi nga, tandaan nyo, isang source ng obligation ang contracts. But remember also, it does not mean that if you have an obligation, it necessarily comes from a contract. So, hindi naman ibig sabihin na may obligasyon ka, may kontrata na kaagad. Bakit? Because, remember, again, contracts are but one source of obligations. Pwede naman kasi ang obligation ay manggaling sa ibang sources like law, quasi-contracts, delicts, and quasi-delicts. So, also, please take note of the differences between contracts and agreements. Class, I will leave to you yung classifications of contracts. Ang dami-dami niyan. So, anyway, as we go along our lecture, we will be discussing them one by one. So, anyway, for today, yung classification according to name or designation, yun na muna. So, contracts may be nominate, meaning there is a specific name or designation in the law. So, anong mga examples ng mga nominate contract na may common sense, class, may pangalan sila sa law. So, obviously, a contract of sale is a nominate contract. Anong pangalan niya? Sales. Tapos, a contract of partnership is a nominate contract. Anong pangalan niya? Partnership. A contract of pledge, a contract of chattel mortgage, etc., etc., a contract of commoditum, mutuum, yan ang mga nominate contracts which we have, we will study some of them later on. Now, anyway, the law also provides for innominate contracts. So, innominate contracts, they have no specific name or designation in law. So, wala talaga silang specific na pangalan. There are several kinds of innominate contracts. Do ut des, do ut facias, facto ut des, and facto ut facias. So anyway, do ut des, I give so that you may give. Magbibigay ako para bigyan mo rin ako ng bagay. So anyway, let us say bibigyan kita ng cellphone, bigyan mo ako ng another kind of cellphone, ganyan. Usually nakikita nyo to ang do ut des is not anymore technically an innominate contract. May pangalan na yan under the law. Now, it is known as your barter or exchange, which we will study when we go to the law on sales. So, remember, yung naririnig nyo sa mga, alam niyo yung Tarlac bentahan online, ganyan, yung mga swap, yan. Swap cellphone with another cellphone, swap PSP with cellphone, mga tipong ganyan. So, you will give something and the other person will give something in return. Barter, swap, exchange. So, yun ang ibig sabihin ng do ut des, which is no longer technically an innominate contract. May pangalan na daw siya ngayon. Ano na siya, level up. Ang pangalan daw niya ay barter. So anyway, the next one is do ut facias, meaning I give so that you may do. So, magbibigay ako ng pera para sumayaw ka. So, yun ay do ut fascia. So, I will give something so that you will render a service. What else? Fascio ut des. In other books, they call it facto ut des. Fascio ay book ni Paras. Pero I think in the book of De Leon, it's facto ut des. So, anyway, I do so that you may give. So, maglilinis ako ng bahay para bigyan mo ko ng pera. So, this is an example of facto or fascio ut des. And the last one is facto ut fascias, or in other books, fascio ut fascias. So, remember, I do so that you may do. Kakanta ako para ikaw ay sumayaw. So, it contemplates service on both ends of the contract. So, anyway, ang mga in-nominate contracts, technically, they do not have a name talaga. So, bakit ginawa yung mga in-nominate contracts? Because there is impossibility of anticipating all forms of agreement. Hindi kaya ng lawmakers natin na isipin or i-anticipate lahat ng klase ng agreement na papasukan ng lahat ng klase ng tao. Siyempre, kung bibigyan nila ng pangalan yan, siguro yung civil code natin, 5 books lang siya. Sigurado. Tapos yung obligations and contracts, isang book lang, book 4 lang ng civil code. Baka mamaya magkaroon ng book 4A, book 4B, book 4C. Di mas marami na namang ipapa-exam ang BOA sa inyo. Di ko na malaman kung paano nyo pag-aaralan lahat. Sa totoo lang, sa sobrang dami ng topic at saka coverage. Super dami ng topic, hilaw naman sa discussion. Kasi ano na kayo quantity over quality na kayo So anyway, remember class here that it is impossible for the lawmakers to anticipate all forms of agreement. And also dahil nga nagkakaroon ng progress doon sa mga economic and also social relationships between parties, mas maraming klase ng contracts tayong papasukan na hindi na-anticipate. So anong mangyayari? Malalaglag siya dito sa in-nominate contracts. So anyway, valid naman ng mga in-nominate contracts. Wala namang problema yan. Hindi porke walang pangalan, hindi na valid. Valid pa rin yan. So, para hindi kayo malito, siguro, kung napapansin nyo yung do ut des, yun na lang yung example ko, do. Do, iisipin nyo that this connotes something personal kasi parang do siya, di ba? But remember here, yung do does not mean do. It means give. Yan. So, do ut des means I give so that you may give. So, pagka di, do, ganyan, des, ganyan, it connotes service. It connotes giving pala. Ako din nalito. So, anyway, it connotes giving. Tapos, pagka facto or fascias or fascio, etc., it connotes doing. Yan. So, yun ang tandaan natin sa in-nominate contracts. Also, please take note of the governing rules. We have 4. So, in case of in-nominate contracts, the rules, these are the rules that will govern. Number 1, stipulation of the parties, kung ano yung pinag-usapan, will govern. Kung kulang yan, we can also take a look at the provisions of the Civil Code on obligations and contracts. Also, in addition to that, we can take a look at the provisions of the law regarding the most analogous nominate contracts. So, kung sino yung kamukha niya, pinakamalapit na analogous at pinakakapareho na nominate contracts, yung rules nun will also govern. And lastly, class, the customs of the place will govern also in nominate contracts. So, yun ang tandaan natin. What else? Please take note of the basic principles of contracts. Remember, autonomy or liberty or freedom to stipulate. This is not a new concept. Pinag-aralan natin to. Pinag-aralan natin yung contracts. Number 2, mutuality. Number 3, relativity. Number 4, consensuality. And number 5, obligatoriness. Or in other books, they call it obligatory force. So that you will not forget, please remember Marco. M, mutuality. A, autonomy. R, relativity. C, consensuality. And O, obligatoriness. So, huwag niyong kakalimutan si Marco. So anyway, we will discuss them one by one. So let's begin with, ano bang inuna ko dito? Yes, autonomy, or liberty or freedom to stipulate. This is covered by Article 1306. So, not a new concept. Remember, class, contracting parties may establish stipulations, clauses, terms, and conditions. SCTS. Yan ang lagi kong ginagamit dyan para hindi ko makalimutan. Stipulations, clauses, terms, and conditions as they may deem fit, provided that they are not contrary to, again, lamog PP. So, yun ang tandaan nyo. Pwedeng pag-usapan ng mga parties ang kahit na anong klaseng stipulation na gusto nila, kahit na anong clauses, kahit na anong terms, kahit na anong conditions. Pwede nilang pag-usapan yon, as long as it is convenient to them, as long as it fits the purpose of the agreement or the contract between the parties. But remember, class, that yung mga stipulations, clauses, terms, and conditions should not be contrary to lamog PP. Because again, class, basic yan na dapat hindi mo binaviolate yung lamog PP pagka pumasok ka sa contract. So anyway, the limitations on contractual stipulations, number 1 law, is, remember, a rule of conduct, and it is promulgated by a legitimate authority, and it is for common observance and benefit. So, kung ang nagsabi lang sa'yo na ito ang law, ayan, classmate mo lang, hindi law yan, class, kasi remember, kailangan ng legitimate authority. Siya ang magpo-promulgate ng law. So, kung hindi siya authority and it is not legitimate authority, remember, class, na it cannot be considered as law. So, what else? Remember also for law, contracts must respect the law because the law forms part of all contracts. So, the provisions of all laws are understood to be incorporated in all contracts. So, yun ang tandaan natin. How about morals? Remember, it deals with good and right conduct in a community. And it differs at different times and places and with each group of people. So, remember, morality is relative. Depende sa tao yan. Depende sa community, and remember, in accordance with human conscience. So, iba-iba rin sa panapanahon yan, yung morals na yan. Dati, hindi, may mga lugar na pwedeng allowed sa kanila ang cannibalism. That is the norm to them. So, para sa kanila, that is moral. Kung kumakain ka ng tao, mas nakakatapang, mas tumitindi ka, ganyan. Pero dito sa lugar natin, bawal yan. So, yun ang tandaan natin. Tapos dati, nung time, different time. Noong unang panahon, ang mga babae, hindi pwedeng magsuot ng sexy. Kasi, pagka hindi sexy, nakikita yung private parts mo, or at least portion of it, immoral daw yan. Pero ngayon, kitang-kita na lahat. Okay lang, di ba? Walang problema. So, remember, class, ang morality, depende yan sa time. Depende sa tao. Depende sa panahon, etc., etc. So, yun ang tandaan natin. Morality is relative. Hindi kasi uso nun. Kaya, like, yung mga single mom, hindi naman uso nun eh. Ngayon, okay lang. Walang problema, di ba? So, yung mga medyo, pagka hindi mo tanggap, parang para kang narrow-minded, di ba? Pero dati, oh my God, yan, yung ganyan, anak ni ganito, ganyan, walang asawa, ganyan, di ba? Pero ngayon, okay lang. Mas mabuti na wag magpakasal kaysa naman magka-problema pa kayo magpaanak, etc., etc. See, iba-iba, different times. Good customs naman, remember, habits and practices na sa sobrang tagal na ginagawa, it has gained practical and social confirmation. What else? Public order will refer to public safety. So, ang example niyan is bawal ang mga stipulations sa contract wherein a landlord can use a force to evict yung kanyang tenant kung hindi makabayad. Bakit? That is against public order dahil inaalanganin natin yung public safety. So, yun ang yun ang goal ng public order. Kailangan mayroong public safety. Yan. So, also it means public will, that which is best for someone or something. Also, please take note of public policy, which is broader in scope than public order. So, public policy also refers to public safety, na yun ang target ng public order. But it also refers to considerations which are moved by the common good. So, pagka ang contract has a tendency to injure the public, it is contrary to public policy. So, if it is contrary to public policy. So, anyway, example siguro dito is stipulation in a contract na nagbebenta ng right to vote. Hindi nagbebenta ng boto, nagbebenta ng right to vote, or nagbebenta ng right to run as a public official. That those are contracts which are contrary to public policy. So, yun ang tandaan natin for autonomy. Pwedeng pumasok sa kahit na anong contract, but remember class that it must not be contrary to the MOG-PP. Mutuality naman is covered by 1308. So, in 1308, ang sabi dyan is, a contract must bind both contracting parties. So, without the equality between the parties, the contract has no force of law between them. So, dapat sa isang contract, hindi isa lang ang binabind. Dapat pareho sila. So, also, in case of mutuality, remember class that no party can renounce or violate the law of the contract without the consent of the other. So, validity and compliance cannot be left to the will of only one of the parties. So, as a consequence of mutuality, remember, hindi pwedeng i-revoke ng isang party ang contract without the consent of the other. And also, hindi rin pwedeng iset aside ang isang contract dahil nagkaroon lang ng feeling lang ng isang party ay lugi siya or merong bad bargain. So, yun ang tandaan natin. Contract binds both parties. And no party can renounce or violate the law of contract without the consent of another. Validity and compliance cannot be left to the will of one of the parties. But remember also, in 1309, the determination of performance can be left to the will of a third person. So, yung compliance cannot be left to the will of one of the contracting parties. But remember, under 1309, determination of whether or not the contract has been performed may be left to the will of a third person. So, the decision of the third person will be binding to both parties after it has been made known to both of them. So, ang examples ng mga determination of performance, probably fixing of price, delivery date, this can be left to the will of third persons. Let us say, class, nagbebenta kayo ng piano, namanan nyo lang yung piano, so hindi nyo alam talaga kung magkano ang piano. Tapos binebenta nyo siya sa buyer na wala ring idea kung ano ang halaga ng isang piano or at least yung piano na ibinebenta mo. But let us say, meron kayong kilalang expert sa field ng music and he is very knowledgeable sa instruments. Pwedeng yung third person na yon who is knowledgeable in instruments can fix the price. And so here, remember, there is determination made by a third person. In the example in your book, A undertook the construction of a house of B using quality materials. But remember here, class, si B naman is not aware kung ano ang mga quality material. Pagkano paggawa naman kayo ng bahay, sa totoo lang, kahit sabihin ng engineer na high quality materials na ginamit niya, hindi nyo naman talaga alam eh. Sa totoo lang, hindi naman kayo engineer eh. Hindi ko rin alam. Attorney lang ako. So, we can ask third person. Yan. The A and B can designate or appoint yung third person to determine performance. So here, third person will determine whether or not high quality materials nga yung ginamit dun sa construction ng house ni B. So anyway, probably third person is another engineer. Yan. So yan ang tandaan natin sa determination of performance by a third person. This is binding on the parties. Kailan? When it is made known to both of the parties. So, pagka nalaman na ng dalawang parties yung determination ng third person, it is already binding as to them, except when in 1310 the determination is inequitable. So yan, if the determination is unfair or unjust, as when the third person acted in bad faith or by mistake, in such case, remember, it is the courts which will decide what is equitable under the circumstances. So 1310 is an exception to the rule in 1309. Sabi sa 1309, determination of a third person is binding after it has been made known to both of the parties, but except if the determination made by the third person is manifestly inequitable or unjust or unfair. What else? Please take note also of relativity under Article 1311. Sa relativity, sabi dyan, contracts are generally effective between parties, heirs, and assigns. So, yun ang effectivity ng contract. So, obviously, the principal parties are bound by the contract based on the doctrine of mutuality, and also because they are principal parties. So, based on relativity, the contract is effective between them. Now, also, the contract is effective between their heirs. So, di ba, pinag-aralan natin ang general rule, rights are transmissible. So, yun ang tandaan natin. So, yung mga effectivity ng contracts, pwede ring ipasa sa heirs because generally, contracts are transmissible. Rights are transmissible. So, yun ang tandaan din natin. And assigns. So, an assign is a person appointed by the parties to the contract. So, obviously, because rights are transmissible, binding din yan between assigns. So, yun ang ating rules sa relativity. Contracts will take effect between the parties, heirs, and also assigns. So, anyway, please take note of the persons who are affected by a contract. So, the general rule is that, yun nga yung sinabi ko, parties' rights and obligations from a contract are generally transmissible to the successors and also to the assigns. So, yung contract will take effect between the parties, their assigns, and heirs. So, ibig sabihin nito, ang meron lang right and obligation. Tandaan nyo, right and obligations under the contracts ay yung parties, heirs, and assigns lamang. So, obviously, class, general rule, yung persons who are not a part of the contract cannot be prejudiced. Ay, may narinig akong isa. Prejudiced, class, hindi prejudiced, utang na loob. Prejudiced by a contract which they are not a part of. So, obviously, kung hindi ka part ng contract na yan, meaning you are a third person to the contract, wala kang rights. Wala ka rin, syempre, obligations. So, you cannot be prejudiced by this contract and you will have no rights under this contract which you are not a part of. So, yun ang tandaan natin, except that if this is a general rule, obviously, there are exceptions. So, these are the exceptions to relativity. So, the first exception to relativity is a contract which is effective only between the parties or it is intransmissible. Remember, class, that in this kind of contract, the rights and obligations are not transmissible. So, remember, there is intransmissibility in case, by nature, in case of contracts involving personal qualifications. So, contracts involving singing, painting, etc. So, it involves personal qualifications. Kung ang gusto mo lang is yung particular singer na to, particular na painter na to, remember, it involves personal qualification and this is intransmissible by nature. Meaning, hindi na ipapasa yung rights and obligations under the contract. What else? It may be intransmissible by stipulation, meaning the parties agree that the contract will be intransmissible based on the principle of autonomy. Remember, autonomy, parties can establish such as stipulations, clauses, terms, and conditions as they may deem fit, provided it is not contrary to Lamog PP. And what else? There can also be intransmissibility by provision of law. when, like for example, the death will extinguish the legal relationship of the parties. So an example of this is your contract of agency, your contract of partnership, and your contract of comodatum. So in a partnership, when one partner dies, the partnership is dissolved. So yun ang example ng intransmissible by provision of law. Now remember, this is an exception. Why? Because the general rule is that in case of relativity, the contract is binding between the parties and pwede itong ipasa sa heirs and assigns. So it is transmissible to the heirs and assigns. That is the general rule. Now in case of number 1, the contract is intransmissible. Hindi ito maipapasa, which is why this is an exception to the relativity rule. Kasi sabi sa relativity, maipapasa sa heirs and assigns, and it is effective between parties, heirs and assigns. But in relativity, sabi, limited lang ang effectivity niya sa parties lamang. So this is an remember, exception. What else? Number 2, in case of contracts which affects strangers or third person. So again, third person is a person who is not a part of the contract. So stranger siya. So common sense ito, class. This is an example, an exception to relativity because remember, class, as a general rule, ang third person who is a stranger to the contract has no rights and obligations under the contract. So anyway, here makikita nyo sa number 2 na kahit na third person siya, pwede siyang magkaroon ng rights and obligations under a contract which he is not a part of. So yun ang tanda natin sa number 2. General rule, kung hindi ka kasama, syempre wala kang rights and obligations. Pero ito, exception ito. In some instances, remember, a third person will have rights and will have obligations under a contract which he is not part of. So anyway, examples of that: 1311, contracts containing stipulations for autrui; 1312, contracts creating real rights; 1313, contracts intended to defraud creditors; and 1314, contracts violated at the inducement of a third person. So yun ang this is what we have to remember about contracts which affects strangers or third persons. Anyway, we will discuss one by one. A contract which contains a stipulation for autrui, found in 1311. So remember, a stipulation for autrui is a stipulation pala in a contract which will clearly and deliberately confer to a favor upon a third person, a right or a favor upon a third person. Now this third person, together with the obligee, will have a right to demand the fulfillment of the contract and also the stipulation for autrui. And remember, class, that it will be demandable by the third person if the third person communicates his acceptance to the obligor before the contract is revoked by the obligee or by the original parties. So remember, class, also that a stipulation for autrui is merely part of the contract, but it is not the principal contract. And remember also that the third person here must not act as an agent of either party. So yun ang tandaan natin sa stipulation for autrui. Now, an example of a stipulation for autrui is, let us say, debtor is indebted to creditor 10,000 at 10% interest per annum para hindi naman siya excessive interest. So anyway, 10,000 at 10% per annum. So both debtor and creditor agree that the interest will be paid to, let us say, Pokwang. Yan, Pokwang. Pokwang is the sister of the creditor. So yun na lang bigla kong naisip. So anyway, Pokwang is the sister of the creditor. So merong stipulation in the contract of debtor and creditor. The stipulation in the contract of debtor and creditor will confer a favor or will give a right or favor to Pokwang, who is a third person. Remember, Pokwang here is not the creditor. Pokwang is not the debtor. Pokwang is not the agent of the debtor and the creditor. Although sabihin na natin na brother siya, sister siya, but hindi naman talaga na-affect yung relationship na yon. Walang affect yung relationship na yon. So anyway, here remember class that yung stipulation in favor of Pokwang is a stipulation for Otrui. Now, Pokwang, who is the third person, has to communicate her acceptance of the stipulation in her favor to the obligor or debtor before it is revoked, before the stipulation is revoked by the creditor or the original parties. So, kailangan tanggapin ni Pokwang yung stipulation which confers a right or a favor upon her. So, pagka na-communicate niya yung kanyang acceptance to the obligor, remember that not only can the creditor demand fulfillment of the obligation and the stipulation for Otrui, even the third person can demand fulfillment of the stipulation for Otrui. So, yun ang tandaan ninyo dyan. So, please take note of the classes of stipulation for Otrui. In case of a donee beneficiary. So, ang nakalagay dyan sa book nyo ay done beneficiary. Paki-correct yan. Ang sinasabi talaga dyan is donee beneficiary. So, in case of a donee beneficiary, the stipulation is intended for the sole benefit of the donee beneficiary. So, it confers a gift to the third person. Inibigay lang, parang in our example, Pokwang is a donee beneficiary. So, basta binigay na lang, it is a gift given by the creditor actually to the third person. Now, also, a stipulation for Otrui may be in favor of a creditor beneficiary. So, an obligation is due from the promisee to the third person. And remember, the promisee seeks to discharge by means of such stipulation yung kanyang obligation doon sa third person. So, kung ang problem natin is palitan natin na in such a way na, yung example natin, palitan natin in such a way na si Pokwang is actually the creditor of the creditor. Yan. Debtor is indebted to creditor, tapos the creditor has a creditor also. So, in terms of that pangalawang creditor, si creditor number 1 is a debtor actually. So, anyway, bilang installment payment ni creditor to a third person, creditor 2, ang pinag-usapan nila ni debtor and creditor is ibibigay yung 10% interest per annum kay third person para makaunti-unting makabayad ng utang din si creditor. So anyway, that is a stipulation in favor of a creditor beneficiary. So itong third person, nakakatanggap siya ng stipulation, ay natanggap niya yung favor or stipulation for Otrui because he is the creditor of the promisee. So yun ang tandaan natin sa 13 classes of stipulation for Otrui. So please take note also of the requisites. Stipulation in favor of a third person is clearly and deliberately conferred upon the third person. So, malinaw na binibigyan siya ng favor under the contract. What else? Third person must communicate his acceptance to debtor obligor before the revocation of the contract by the obligee or the original parties. So, remember also that acceptance here may be in the form of a demand. So, if Pokwang demands, i-deliver mo na yung aking 10% interest na dapat para sa akin, this is a form of acceptance. Demand kasi yun eh. So anyway, stipulation is only part of the contract, not the entire contract. What else? Favorable stipulation is not conditioned on any kind of compensation or obligation whatsoever. And what else? There is no relation of agency, legal representation, or authorization between the parties and the third person. And lastly, a mere incidental benefit or interest of a person is not sufficient. So, in case in the stipulation for Otrui, in case the stipulation nagkaroon ng incidental benefit ang isang third person, it is not a stipulation for Otrui. So, ang stipulation for autrui must be clearly and deliberately conferred to the third person. So, ang example niyan is si X and Y, they agree that X will construct a building on the lot of Y. So, pagka nagkaroon ng building, let us say, ang itatayo sa lot ni Y is an SM. SM. Alam niyo na, pagka nagtayo ka ng SM sa kahit isang lugar, lahat ng value ng lahat ng property sa paligid nyo, tataas, di ba? So, anyway, here class, pagka nagkaroon ng favor, benefit let us say, adjoining owner, may katabi ng SM, ang may-ari ng lupa ay si, let us say, A. So, magkakaroon ng benefit for A pagka natayo itong SM na to. So, itong si A, remember, even if A will benefit sa pagtayo ng SM na to, hindi ito stipulation for autrui. Nagkataon lang na magkakaroon ng benefit si A. So, this is what you call as an incidental benefit to the contract of X and Y. But since this is not a stipulation for autrui, A has no right to demand for fulfillment of this contract. Wala namang stipulation sa favor ni A. Nagkataon lang na magbe-benefit siya. So, yun ang tandaan natin in case of a stipulation for autrui. Acceptance of the stipulation may be expressed or implied, pala formal or informal. What else? 13.12. Third persons are bound by contracts creating real rights. So, contracts which will create real rights involve real property. Yan. So, obviously, pagka ang contract nyo is, it involves real property, meaning lupa, house and lot, mga ganyan, condominium, etc., etc., they are bound by the contract, even if they are not parties. So, if there is a real right over an object, tapos yung parties, subsequently, marireceive nila itong come into possession of a contract over which there is a real right, they are bound by this real right. So, anyway, remember, a real right is binding against the whole world. It will attach to the property. But, remember, para magkaroon ng real right, di ko pala sinama dito, the real right must be registered in the registry of deeds. If not, remember, class, hindi siya mako-consider as real right. So, anong example ng mga contracts creating real right? A contract of lease. Pagka pinaupa nyo yung iyong house and lot, let us say. So, let us say, ako ay may-ari ng house and lot. Pinaupa ko yung house and lot ko kay lessee. Yan. A is my lessee. Sabihin na lang natin. So, ako yung lessor. I am the owner of the house and lot. Pinaupahan ko yung house and lot ko kay A, who is the lessee. Now, remember, class, na if yung right ni lessee ay pinaregister ko sa registry of property, or meaning pinaregister ko doon sa title ng property, sa title ng lupa ko, tsaka ng bahay ko, bahay at lupa, pagka pinaregister ko yung lease doon, remember, it will create a real right. So anyway, pagka may real right, let us say, class, ako, yung lupa, house and lot ko, binenta ko sa iba. Tapos yung aking buyer, he is aware na meron akong pinapaupa doon, pinapaupahan ko yon at merong nangungupa doon, and also yung right ng mga nangungupahan is registered sa titulo ko. Remember, class, na yung bibili ng lupa ko, hindi niya pwedeng basta-bastang paalisin yung mga nangungupahan. Because remember, class, that they entered into a contract of lease. The contract of lease created a real right. Now, the real right must be respected by third person. So, yun ang tandaan natin dyan. So, imagine nyo buyer is not a part of the contract of lease. Hindi siya lessor, hindi siya lessee, pero kailangan niyang i-recognize yung right ng lessee, which is a real right. So, 13.11, a stipulation for autrui is an exception to relativity. Nakalimutan ko ito kanina. So, this is an exception to relativity because third person, hindi siya part ng contract, pero nagkaroon siya ng right to demand yung stipulation in his favor. So, Pokwang is not a part of the contract, but he has a right to demand the stipulation. Imagine mo, hindi ka part ng contract na yan, pero meron kang right. Kanya, exception siya. Now, also, 13.12 is an exception because here, class, remember the buyer of my house and lot, hindi siya part ng contract of a lease between me, lessor, and the lessee, yung nangungupahan. But remember, class, meron siyang obligation to respect yung contract of a lease. So again, this is an exception to the relativity principle. Buyer has no participation in the contract of lease, but the buyer should recognize and respect yung contract of lease, and kailangan niyang hayaan na matapos yung contract of lease noong lessee. So, in short, buyer is also bound by the contract of lease. So anyway, remember that. 1313 naman, contracts intended to defraud creditors. So, remember, class, yung contracts intended to defraud creditors, yung creditor is given a right to impugn yung contracts na ito through an action Pollyanna or a rescissory action, which is yun nga known as your action Pollyanna, P-A-U-L-I-A-N-A. So, impugn means question. So, creditor will have a right to question the contract of his debtor, which is entered into by the debtor so that he can defraud yung creditor. So, yun, the usual example for this is debtor is indebted to creditor. So, the debtor has no other property, has no money, and has no other property except, let us say, this and this parcel of land, so and so. So, let us say debtor is indebted to creditor 1 million, and debtor has no money to pay creditor. But debtor has this property, which is so and so worth 1 million also. Yan. So, nung sinisingil na ni creditor si debtor, itong si debtor, anong ginawa niya? Imbis na ipambayad na lang niya yung property niya, ibenta niya, pambayad, etc. Or pwede namang dash in payment. Anong ginawa ni debtor? Debtor sells his land to his son. Sabihin na lang natin. So, here, there are actually two contracts. The contract of a loan or mutuum between debtor and creditor. So, nangutang si debtor kay creditor. And also, there's a contract of a sale between debtor and son. So, anyway, yung parties sa contract of loan is debtor and creditor, obviously. The contract between, the contract of sale, ang parties dyan is debtor and son. So, let us say, yung halagang 1 million na lupa is ibinenta lang ni debtor kay son ng halagang 100,000. So, magkano lang yun, di ba? At 10% price. So, 90% off. Saan ka nakakita ng ganyan? So, bakit ginawa ni debtor ito? So that pwede niyang i-defraud si creditor. Siyempre, kung wala ng property si debtor, ano pang hahabulin ni creditor? So, obviously, and besides the price is very low. So, obviously, the debtor entered into this contract with the son to defraud yung creditor of the first contract. So, here, remember, the creditor is given a right to rescind or to file an action Pollyanna to rescind or cancel yung contract between debtor/father and son. Remember, class, that the creditor is not a part of the contract between debtor and son, but he is given a right to rescind this contract between debtor and son because this contract is intended to defraud the creditor. So, yun ang tandaan nyo dyan. Kasi nga, pinasukan lang naman ito ni debtor para maloko niya si creditor. Kaya siya pumasok with dun sa contract with the son. Imagine, 100,000 lang binenta, samantalang ang halaga ng lupa ay 1 million talaga. Ang halaga ng utang ay 1 million talaga. So, obviously, ginawa niya yun para lang manloko kay creditor. Anyway, this is a matter of evidence. Creditor should prove bad faith or intention to defraud. Because class, good faith is always presumed, surprisingly. So, this is an exception because, again, creditor is not part of contract between debtor and son, but creditor has a right to impugn or question or ask for rescission, file an action Pollyanna regarding contract of sale between debtor and son. Same also if the contract between debtor and son is a donation, pwede ring ipa-rescind yan because it is a contract intended to defraud creditors. 13-14 naman, third person who induces another to violate his contract. So may nang engganyo sa inyo na i-violate nyo yung contract ninyo. Remember here class na pagka kayo ay, ang tawag dito sa mga ito ay susulero Pagka kayo ay susulero or susulera, meron kayong liability if the contract is violated. So anyway, example here is, let us say, sino pa bang paborito kong artista? Yung magaling kumanta. Coco Martin. Ito na naman si Coco Martin. So anyway, Coco Martin is again an artist with sabihin na lang natin Star Cinema Production. Hindi ko talaga alam. Actually, I'm just guessing. So anyway, si Coco Martin meron siyang kontrata with Star Cinema. And the contract of Coco Martin is, let us say, 5 years and 20 films para sa Star Cinema. 5 years, 20 films. So ang bayad sa kanya per film is 2 million. So let us say 40 million ang kontrata ni Coco Martin, 5 years, 20 films, Star Cinema. Tapos ito namang Viva Films, sabihin lang natin, Viva Film, or sige, Regal Films, ano ba? Hindi ko na alam kasi klase dahil nung panahon ko, Regal lang, at saka Viva, at saka Seiko Films ang uso. So, nung kabataan ko yun. So, anyway, let us say Viva Films na lang. Yung kanilang president, sabihin na lang natin, tago na lang natin siya pangalang Joey. Ayan, Joey. Pangalan ng aso ko yun So anyway, si Joey ang president ng Viva Films. Tapos lumapit siya kay Coco. Sabi niya, Coco, lipat ka na lang dito sa amin. Paano? Sabi ni Coco, meron akong contract with Star Cinema. Alis ka na lang dyan. Violate mo na lang yung contract mo. Dito sa Viva Films, bibigyan kita ng 40 films. Bawat isang film ay worth 3 million each. Tapos, kontrata mo is 3 years lang, 40 films. Imagine mo yun, kung naman matatapos kaya niya yung 40 films sa 3 years, palagay ko impossible yun. Pero anyway, nuwari na lang. Ito talaga, example rin naman ako So, itong si Coco, dahil sa pang-engganyo ni Joey from Viva Films, he was induced to violate the contract with Star Cinema. So remember here class, contract is valid and the third person is aware of the contract between Coco and Star Cinema, but there is unwarranted interference in the contract and Joey induced Coco to violate his contract with Star Cinema. So remember class, here Star Cinema can sue or pwede niyang idemanda si Coco Martin for breach of contract. And also remember class that Star Cinema can also sue or demanda si Joey for damages based on quasi-delict. So the liability of Joey here is based on quasi-delict, and the liability of Joey cannot be more than the liability of Coco Martin, who is in fact the person who actually violated the contract. So in short class, itong si Joey ay susulera lamang na sinulsulan niya si Coco na i-violate yung kanyang contract. And for that, remember, Joey will be liable for damages based on quasi-delict. Now, remember, this is an exception because Joey is not part of the contract between Coco Martin and Star Cinema. But Joey can be made liable. Yan. So, nakita nyo na yung trend. In 1311, stipulation for autrui, hindi ka part pero may benefit ka. In 1312, hindi ka part ng contract but you have a right to respect yung contract which created yung real right. ng ng isang party. And 1313 naman, hindi ka part ng contract pero meron kang right na ipa-cancel ito because it is intended to defraud you. And in 1314, hindi ka part ng contract pero pwede kang magkaroon ng liability based on quasi-delict. So either may right ka, may liability ka, etc. etc. So ito ay mga exceptions when strangers are affected by contracts. So anyway, remember the rule on relativity as well as the exceptions. Ayan. So anyway, binanggit ko pero hindi ko pala na-click. So, stages in the life of contract. So, we need to discuss this before we can go to consensuality. So, in the life of a contract, we have 3 stages: preparation, negotiation, conception, or generation. So, remember, parties are progressing with negotiations. So, pinag-uusapan pa lang nila kung ano yung object, ano yung price. So, wala pang definite agreement. So, in short, ito yung part ng contract, ay part ng pag-uusap kung saan sila ay nagtatawaran pa lamang. Yan. So, anong binebenta mo? Sapatos. Anong sapatos? Sinabaw, marami kang sapatos. Itong particular na sapatos na to, so meron ng, sige, gusto kong bilhin yan. So, meron ng object. There's already an agreement as to object. So, pero wala pang price. Magkano yan? 500, etc. Magkano tawad mo? Sabi nung seller. Sabi ng buyer, 500. Ay, hindi pwede 500. Masyadong mura. 1,000. Tapos sabi naman ni buyer, 600. Sabi ni seller, 900. Tapos 800. Sabi ni buyer. Tapos sabi ni 850. Sabi ni seller. So, yan ang stage na tinatawag nating preparation stage. Nagtatawaran sila. So, anyway, 850 sabi ni seller. Tapos sabi ni buyer, sige, accepted. So, here, remember class that this is the perfection or birth stage. So, parties have come to a definite agreement. So, meron ng meeting of minds between subject matter, which is this particular shoe, and the cost of the contract, which is the price. So, price is 850. So, the essential elements, nag-concur na sila. Pagka nagkaroon ng meeting of the minds, papasok na rin yung isang essential element, which is consent. So, yun ang tandaan natin, perfection or birth. And consummation, termination, or death will happen if the buyer delivers payment and seller delivers shoes. So, yun ang tandaan natin. Parties have performed respective obligations and the contract will be fully accomplished or executed. So, remember, class, nagkakaroon na ng extinguishment or termination ng contract upon performance of the respective obligations. Now, please take note of the kinds of contract. Kanina, ang diniscuss natin, nominate, innominate. Ngayon, kinds of contract according to perfection. It may be a consensual contract as provided for in 1315. A consensual contract is perfected by mere consent. So, if the parties already have an agreement between as regards subject matter and also cost of the contract, and both parties give their consent to the contract is already perfected. Consensual contracts are obligatory in whatever form they may have been entered into, provided that the essential elements, cost, object, and consent are present. So, yun ang tandaan natin sa consensual contract. So, they come into perfection upon mutual consent, even if the subject matter or the payment or cost have not been delivered yet. So, kung wala pang dineliver na object, wala pa ring binayad, they are already perfected. Even if hindi pa na-deliver yung object, hindi pa binayaran yung price. Now, remember, in the absence of delivery, perfection will not transfer or create a real right, transfer title or create real rights, because as a general rule, delivery will transfer ownership, but it will give rise to an obligation between the parties on the part of the seller to deliver the object, on the part of the buyer to pay the price. So, yun ang tandaan natin dyan. Real contracts naman, they are perfected by delivery, which may be actual or constructive delivery, of the object of the obligation. So, actual delivery, actually, bigay mo, abot mo, yan ang actual delivery. Constructive delivery, if actual delivery is not possible. So, constructive delivery includes delivering yung, halimbawa, lupa, yung titulo, execution of a deed of sale, pag-deliver ng susi sa warehouse, yun ang mga klase ng constructive delivery. Anyway, we will study that when we go to the law on sales. So, real contracts are perfected by delivery. So, examples of real contracts are pledge, deposit. Yung deposit here is depositum. Depositum, pledge, comodatum. Yan. So, in case of comodatum, papahiram mo yung bagay pero hindi mo dineliver yung ipapahiram mo. It's not perfected yet. So, sa real contracts, remember, in addition to cause, object, and consent, they have a fourth element, which is, remember, delivery. Delivery is required of the very nature of the contract. So, yun ang tandaan natin. So, anyway, pwede na naman magkaroon ng consensual contract to make a depositum, to make a pledge, or to make a comodatum. So, pagka napag-usapan nyo pa lang na, ipapahiram ko sa iyo to, that is, tapos pumayag na yung parties. So, that is a consensual contract to make a comodatum or to enter into a comodatum. But remember, once the object na pinapahiram is delivered, real contract na ito ng comodatum. So, yun ang tandaan natin dyan sa real contract perfected by delivery. Formal naman or solemn contracts, which we will study when we go to chapter 3, requires a certain form to be valid. So, kung hindi nyo ginawa ito sa form na nire-require ng law, the contract is void. Yun ang tandaan natin. So, in addition to cause, object, and consent, they have a fourth element, which is form. So, yun ang kinds of contracts according to perfection. So, anyway, sa general rule, contracts are consensual. So, they are perfected by mere consent. So, if the contract is perfected, the parties are bound by what is agreed upon, and also with respect to the consequences of the contract. So, consensual is one basic characteristic of a contract. 1317 talks about unauthorized contracts. So, unauthorized contracts are contracts entered into in the name of another. So, papasok ka sa kontrata pero hindi sa pangalan mo. Papasukan mo yung contract in the name of another. And remember, class, yung pumasok sa contract na yan has no authority from the principal or right of legal representation. Or, pwede namang authorize siya but he has acted beyond his powers. So, the rule is that in case of unauthorized contracts, they are unenforceable contracts. So, ang unenforceable contracts, pag-aaralan natin when we go to chapter 8. So, anyway, for now, what you have to remember about unenforceable contracts is that they cannot be enforced, obviously. Parang wala siyang effect na kahit na mag-demand, if you sue upon this kind of contract, these kinds of contract, hindi ka lang papansinin ng court, wala siyang force, wala siyang effect. So, parang wala lang yung pinasukan mo na contract, unenforceable. So, kahit na pumunta ka sa court, magdemanda ka, since the contract is unenforceable, papabayaan ka lang ng court. So, three kinds of unenforceable contracts. This is one of them. Ito yung una. Unauthorized contracts are unenforceable contracts. So, hindi siya pwedeng bigyan ng visa. Yan ang pinakamagandang term. So, anyway, a person is not bound by the contract of another na hindi niya alam or hindi niya kinonsent. So, yun ang tandaan natin. So, here, a contract is entered into by another person. Third person enters into the contract and it involves, it is entered into on behalf of another. So, let us say kayo, pumasok kayo sa contract, tapos sinabi nyo nire-represent nyo ako. Pero wala akong kaalam-alam na pumasok kayo sa contract at lalong-lalo nang wala akong kaalam-alam na nire-represent nyo ako. So, remember, that is an unauthorized contract. So, it is not enforceable against me. Parang example niyan, class, binenta nyo yung cellphone ng kapitbahay nyo. Walang kaalam-alam yung kapitbahay ninyo na binebenta nyo yung cellphone niya. Tapos may buyer pa kayo. Tapos itong buyer ninyo nagpunta sa bahay ng kapitbahay ninyo. Tapos dinedemand yung delivery ng cellphone. Obviously, itong kapitbahay nyo, against him, the contract is unenforceable. Hindi mo pwedeng ipatupad against sa kanya. Kasi nga, remember, hindi ka naman authorized nung ibinenta mo yung cellphone niya. Ni wala nga alam yung kapitbahay mo na ibinenta mo yung cellphone niya. So remember class, unenforceable. Hindi ito pwedeng bigyan ng visa insofar as your kapitbahay is concerned. So yun ang tandaan natin sa unauthorized contract. So here, you enter into the contract and you are stating that you represent your kapitbahay. But your kapitbahay actually has no knowledge of this contract, and also your kapitbahay did not give his consent to this contract. So, let us say, nakuha mo na yung bayad dun sa buyer. Buyer pupunta kay kapitbahay para kunin yung cellphone. Kahit hindi ibigay ng kapitbahay, because as to him, the contract cannot be enforced, unenforceable. So, saan ang habol ni buyer? Siyempre, sa'yo na nagpanggap na isang representative. So, remember, unauthorized contracts. Also, it can happen that the contract, the third person is actually authorized, but he exceeded his authority. So, anong example niyan? Ako, agent ko kayo. So, an agent is also known as an attorney in fact. An attorney in fact is not actually an attorney, but he is an agent or an authorized representative. Pinaganda lang yung term. Ako na nag-authorize, ang tawag sa akin ay principal or grantor. So, remember your terms. Anyway, you are an agent or an authorized representative or an attorney in fact. I told you to buy, let us say, bumili ka ng balot, 1 kilo. Balot ang pinapabili ko sa'yo, 1 kilo. Tapos bumili ka ng, syempre hindi balot ang binili mo binili mo penoy, matigas ang ulo mo So binili mo penoy 1 kilo. Tapos later on, yung seller, sinisingil ako. Syempre, class, authorized kayo. Attorney in fact kayo, yes. But remember, ang pinapabili ko sa inyo is balot. Ang binili nyo, penoy. So, you exceeded the authority given to you. So, ako naman, pagka sinisingil ako ng seller, pwede kong hindi bayaran yung penoy. Kasi hindi naman yun ang pinapabili ko And in fact, the attorney, the agent, attorney in fact, or legal representative has exceeded his authority or acted beyond his powers. So, yun ang tandaan natin. Anyway, ang mga unauthorized contracts may be cured ng kanyang defect or it can be ratified. So, please take note of the term, ratified. Ay, ito na naman yung kulay na ayaw ko. Ratified. Yan. So, in case a contract is ratified, it is cured from the beginning of its defect. So, in my example, let us say yung balot nga na pinapabili ko, ang binili ay penoy. Tapos, sinisingil ako ng seller. Tapos, yun nga, sinisingil niya sa akin yung penoy. Pero sinabi ko, sige, okay na nga, kahit penoy na lang. Tapos binayaran ko yung seller. So, in that case, remember, nung sinabi kong okay na lang nga lang, pwede na. That is actually ratification of the unauthorized contract. And remember, pagka iniratify ang unauthorized contract, enforceable na siya. Yun ang tandaan natin. Ang mga unenforceable contract, walang force, walang effect until they are ratified. Pagka ni-ratify mo, doon lang siya magkakaroon ng force and effect. So, that is what you have to remember. Also, in the example regarding the cellphone ng kapitbahay na ibinenta nyo, pagka sinabi ng kapitbahay, sinabi mo sa kapitbahay, naibenta ko na pala yung cellphone mo, kay ganito, ganyan. Mamaya, kukunin na niya, tapos ito na yung bayad, ganyan. So, pagka tinanggap mo yung bayad, that is ratification of the unauthorized contract. Pagka sinabi mong, sige, okay, mamaya hintayin ko na lang si buyer. That is, again, ratification of the unauthorized contract. So, remember, mere lapse of time cannot give effect to an unenforceable contract, but only ratification will cure the contract of its defect. So, ratification may be given only by the person in whose name the contract was entered into. Or kung meron siya talagang authorized talaga na agent, pwede naman i-ratify ng agent yan, na authorized talaga. So, yun ang tandaan natin when it comes to chapter 1, the general provisions. Anyway, that's it for today, class. Please stand by for chapter 2. I will be uploading an old video from my class last sem. Wow, nasave ako ng konting trabaho. So anyway, class, thank you and good afternoon.